Why does the most patient person in the room always become the most ruthless executioner? You are the person who never gets angry. You are the rock, the sanctuary, the reliable architecture of peace. You absorb the chaos of others, like a sponge absorbs dirty water. You listen to their complaints until your ears ring. You validate their delusions until your own reality begins to blur. You move out of the way so they can walk down the center of the hole. You have built your entire identity on the foundation of patience. People say you are a saint. People say you are safe. They come to you when they are broken. They come to you when they need to dump their emotional toxic waste. And you stand there, smiling, nodding, accepting the burden that is not yours to carry. But they are wrong about you. You are not safe. You are a dormant volcano. And inside the magma chamber of your nervous system, pressure is building. It has been building since you were a child. Since the first time you learned that your feelings were inconvenient. Since the first time you realized that silence was the only way to survive the dinner table. Every time you swallowed a rude comment. Every time you smiled when you wanted to scream. Every time you stepped back to let a lesser man step forward. You were not letting it go. You were storing it. You were compressing the rage into a diamond of pure hatred. You tucked it away in the basement of your soul, thinking it would dissolve, thinking it would evaporate. But in physics, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. And your patience has changed form into a weapon. And now, something has shifted. The atmosphere in the room has changed. Someone crossed a line that was invisible to them, but glowing neon red to you. Maybe it was a tone of voice. Maybe it was a look of dismissal. Maybe it was the 1000th time they interrupted you, and the switch flipped. The breaker blew. The saint died in an instant, and the tyrant was born. Suddenly you are cold. Suddenly you are cruel. Suddenly you are capable of a psychological violence that shocks even you. You scorched the earth. You burned the bridge while they were still standing on it. You watched them fall into the ravine, and you felt nothing but relief. And now you are sitting in the ashes, wondering if you are a monster, wondering why the most tolerant person in the room always becomes the most ruthless destroyer. You feel the adrenaline fading. You feel the shame creeping in. You ask yourself, why am I like this? Why is there no middle ground between submission and total destruction? Why must I be either the doormat or the nuclear bomb? Welcome to the Watchtower. We are going to dissect the anatomy of your rage. We are going to open up the hood of your mind and look at the engine that drives this cycle. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You are a high-performance machine running on the wrong operating system. We need to look at the hardware. Your brain is not designed for infinite tolerance. Tolerance is not a personality trait. It is a biological expense. It is a metabolic tax. When you tolerate disrespect, or incompetence, or emotional vampirism, you are engaging the prefrontal cortex. This is the CEO of the brain. It is responsible for impulse control, logic, social calibration, and long-term planning. Every time you want to punch someone, but you smile instead, your prefrontal cortex sends an inhibitory signal to the amygdala. The amygdala is the alarm bell. It is the ancient smoke detector in your limbic system. It screams threat. It screams attack. It screams predator. It wants to fight. It wants to defend your territory. But your prefrontal cortex says, no, stay calm. We need to maintain the peace. We need to keep the tribe together. This inhibitory signal costs glucose. It consumes energy. It uses up your cognitive bandwidth. You are running a high-level simulation called being nice. But here is the glitch in the system. The brain has a limited supply of willpower. Psychologists call this ego depletion. I prefer to call it system overheat. You are a machine that is running at 100% capacity, just to keep the beast in the cage. You think you are being patient, but biologically, you are accumulating debt, neurocumarical debt. Your cortisol levels are chronically elevated. Your body is flooded with stress hormones. This is called allostatic load. It is the wear and tear on the body, which grows over time when the individual is exposed to repeated stress. Your arteries are hardening. Your immune system is weakening. Your sleep is fragmented. But you do not act on these signals. You do not fight. You do not flee. You freeze. This is called the Fawn response. It is a survival subroutine. It is evolutionary programming. In the ancient world, if you were weaker than the alpha, or if you were surrounded by a hostile tribe, fighting meant death. Running meant being hunted. So you evolved to appease. You evolved to be useful. You evolved to be nice. You appease the predator to avoid being eaten. But deep down, in the ancient reptilian stem of your brain, you know you are being hunted, and the predator knows it too. They mistake your silence for weakness. They mistake your patience for submission. They do not see the calculations running behind your eyes. They do not see the ledger you are keeping. Because that is what tolerance is. It is a ledger, a transcational record of every slight, every insult, every violation. You mark them down, one by one. Tick, tick, tick. You wait for them to pay you back. You wait for them to realize how good you are. You operate on a covert contract. You believe that if you are good to them, they will eventually be good to you. But they never do, because the hardware of the narcissist does not have a concept of debt. They only consume, and you only provide, until the day the bank closes and the foreclosure begins. Let us analyze the antagonist, the person who pushed you too far. They are usually low empathy, high entitlement. They operate on the path of least resistance. And you, my friend, you made yourself the path of least resistance. You flattened yourself so they could walk over you. You smoothed out your edges so they would not cut themselves on your personality. You thought this was noble. You thought this was virtuous. Society told you to turn the other cheek. Society told you to be the bigger person. The Stoics speak of endurance. But Marcus Aurelius did not mean you should be a doormat for the incompetent. He meant you should be a fortress against the chaos. There is a difference between a fortress and a welcome mat. A fortress has walls. A fortress has gates. A fortress has arches on the tower. A welcome mat is designed to be stepped on. The predator sees your high tolerance as an invitation. They encroach on your boundaries, centimeter by centimeter. This is called the salami slicing tactic. If they took the whole sausage at once, you would fight back. But they take one thin slice, just a small favor, just a little disrespect, just a tiny joke at your expense, and your brain says, it is not worth the conflict. It is just a small slice. So you let them take it. Then they take another, and another. And because you are high empathy, you rationalize their behavior. You use your intellect to make excuses for them. Maybe they had a bad childhood. Maybe they are stressed. Maybe they did not mean it. You are gaslighting yourself. You are hacking your own perception of reality to avoid the pain of confrontation. This is a betrayal of the self. You are prioritizing their comfort over your sovereignty, and the shadow knows this. Carl Jung described the shadow as the unknown dark side of the personality. Everything you repress goes into the shadow. Every time you swallowed your anger, you fed the shadow. Every time you said yes when you meant no, you fed the shadow. Every time you smiled at someone you despised, you fed the shadow. And the shadow has grown fat. It has grown strong. It has been waiting in the dungeon of your subconscious, sharpening its knives, waiting for the moment the prefrontal cortex fails, waiting for the moment the battery dies. And when it does, the shadow breaks down the door. It does not care about social niceties. It does not care about your reputation. It only cares about one thing: balance. It seeks to balance the equation of pain. You have been in pain for years. Silent, invisible, corrosive pain. Now the shadow decides it is time to export that pain. It is time to make the external world match the internal world. This is why the tolerant person becomes the tyrant. It is called enantio diaromia, the tendency of things to change into their opposites. The extreme of patience becomes the extreme of wrath. It is not a change of character. It is a correction of the market. You are finally charging them the tax they owe, and you are charging them with interest, compounded daily. Since the moment you met them, the transition is terrifying to behold. People are used to the avatar you created, the smiling servant, the gentle giant. When that avatar dissolves, it causes a cognitive dissonance in their brains. They cannot reconcile the person who brought donuts on Friday with the person who is currently dismantling their psychological framework with surgical precision. Because you are intelligent, you are observant, you have been watching them, you know their insecurities, you know their fears, you know exactly where the armor is weak, because you have been staring at it for years, trying to understand them. So when you strike, you do not strike blindly. You strike the vital organs. You say the one thing that you know will destroy them. You deliver the truth they have been hiding from, and you do it without raising your voice. This is the cold rage, the rage of the absolutist. The tyrant does not negotiate. The tyrant dictates. When you cross that line, you decide that the relationship is over. You engage the scorched earth protocol. You do not want an apology. You want terrasua. You want them gone. You want to burn the memory of them from your hard doctive. This is why they call you crazy. This is why they say you snapped out of nowhere. To them, it was out of nowhere, because they were not reading the ledger. They were not counting the strikes. They thought your tolerance was infinite resources, like air or sunlight. They did not know they were burning your furniture to keep themselves warm. And now that the house is empty, you have decided to burn the house down. Friedrich Nietzsche warned us, beware that when you fight with monsters, you do not become a monster. But sometimes, becoming the monster is the only way to defeat the monster. The problem is not the rage. The problem is the lack of integration. You swing from saint to demon, from doormat to dictator. There is no middle ground. There is no regulated aggression. There is only silence. Our nuclear war. This binary switching is a sign of a fragile system. A robust system has gradients. A robust system has warning shots. You have no warning shots, because you disabled the gun to make people feel safe. So when you finally need the gun, you have to drop the bomb instead. We must build a new architecture. You cannot continue to cycle between submission and tyranny. It destroys your relationships. It destroys your nervous system, and it leaves you alone in the void. We need to install protocols that allow you to express aggression without destruction. We need to integrate the shadow before it hijacks the ship. You must stop viewing your anger as a defect. Your anger is data. It is a signal from the perimeter. It is telling you that the walls have been breached. When you ignore the signal, you invite the invasion. You must become the sovereign. The sovereign is not a tyrant. The sovereign creates law. The sovereign enforces boundaries. But the sovereign does not need to scream, because the sovereign carries a sword in plain sight. Here is the first protocol, the biological ledger. You must stop pretending that interactions are free. Every interaction costs glucose. Every interaction costs dopamine. You must become an accountant of your own energy. When someone asks for tolerance, you must calculate the cost. Can I afford this? Do I have the budget for this nonsense today? If the answer is no, you must decline the transaction. You do not need to be rude. You just need to be closed for business. Stop operating on credit. Stop giving loans to people who have bad credit scores. When you feel the tightness in your chest, that is the anterior cingulate cortex registering pain. It is physical pain. Do not ignore it. Do not swallow it. Acknowledge it. Say to yourself, this is costing me. And if the return on investment is zero, close the account immediately. The second protocol is the optical sniper. You must learn to fire across the bow. You have trained people to believe you are harmless. You must retrain them. You must introduce small doses of friction. This is operant conditioning. When they interrupt you, do not smile. Stop talking immediately. Look at them. Wait 3 seconds. 1, 3. Then continue your sentence as if they did not speak. This is a micro-minus aggression. It signals dominance. It signals that you noticed the interruption, and you did not like it. When they make a joke at your expense, do not laugh to ease the tension. Stare at their forehead, just above the eyes. This creates an intense discomfort in the primate brain. Ask them to explain the joke. Say, I do not understand. Why is that funny? Force them to dissect their own rudeness. Watch them crumble as they try to explain their malice. This is not tyranny. This is policing the border. You are showing them the gun, so you do not have to drop the bomb. The third protocol is the velvet guillotine. This is for when the line is crossed, but you are not yet ready to burn the bridge. You must execute the boundary with absolute precision and zero emotion. The tyrant screams. The sovereign whispers. When they disrespect you, you must cut the supply of validation instantly. This is often called the grey rock method, but we will refine it. Your face becomes a mask. Your voice becomes a monotone drone. You answer with one word. Yes, no, perhaps. You remove the oxygen from the room. Narcissists and predators feed on emotional reaction. They are vampires. They need your blood. If you scream, they win. If you cry, they win. If you explain yourself, they win. You must give them nothing. You become a void, an abyss. They will throw their tantrums into the void, and they will hear no echo. This is the ultimate power move. It is the violence of silence. It forces them to sit with their own chaos. You are reflecting their behavior back to them. Without absorbing it, you are a mirror, and they will hate what they see. The fourth protocol is the shadow integration. You must accept that you are dangerous, and you must like it. There is a safety in knowing you have teeth. A harmless man is not a good man. A harmless man is just a potential victim. A good man is a dangerous man who keeps his sword sheathed. We will take this further. You must visualize the tyrant, the part of you that wants to destroy. Do not lock him in the dungeon. Bring him up to the throne room. Make him your general. He does not run the kingdom, but he stands by the door. When someone approaches you with malice, let them see the general. Let them see the flash of steel in your eyes. Let them feel the weight of your capability for destruction. This changes the energy of the interaction. It changes your pheromones. It changes your posture. Predators prefer easy prey. They do not attack hard targets. When you integrate your capacity for evil, you become a hard target. You become sovereign. People will respect you more. They will interrupt you less. They will sense that the cost of crossing you is too high, and you will never have to snap again, because you are no longer compressing the rage. You are channeling it. You are using it as fuel to build your empire, instead of an explosive to destroy it. The final protocol is the expiry date. You must accept that some people are not compatible with your new operating system. The people who loved you for your weakness will hate you for your strength. They will say you have changed. They will say you are mean. They will try to push the old buttons. But the old buttons are disconnected. The wires have been cut. You must be willing to let them go. This is the cost of sovereignty. Solitude is the price of freedom. Do not fear the empty room. The empty room is better than a room full of parasites. You are upgrading your hardware, and some software is no longer supported. Delete it. Format the drive. Start fresh. This is not cruelty. This is hygiene. You would not let a stranger dump trash in your living room. So why do you let them dump trash in your mind? Evict them. Change the locks, and do not look back. You have spent your life trying to be the water, fluid, yielding, taking the shape of the container. But water can also drown. Water can also erode stone. Water can be a tsunami. You are not the victim of your rage. You are the architect of it. It is time to stop apologizing for your power. It is time to stop asking for permission to exist. You are not a tyrant because you have boundaries. You are a tyrant because you waited too long to enforce them. Enforce them early. Enforce them often. And you will never have to burn the village again. Imagine your life as a citadel. You sit on the throne. The gates are open to friends, to allies, to those who bring value. But the guards are at their posts. The archers are watching the horizon, and the general is standing by your side. You are calm, not because you are submissive, but because you are secure. You know what you are capable of, and because you know it, you do not need to prove it. This is true power. This is true peace. The world does not need more nice people. The world is drowning in nice people who are secretly resentful. The world needs more competent people, more dangerous people who choose peace. Be dangerous, be capable, be absolute, and let them break themselves against your walls. We are mind ministry, and we are watching.